Why? Why are we hearing explosion? Hopefully everybody hydrated during the break. Yeah, and looking at what their diets were, I'm amazed any of them survived long enough to. But understanding that they started learning crafts at 10 to 11, it was not unheard of for an apprentice to be taken in at 8 or 9 years old to be a helper and then start truly learning the craft as they were able to, 10, 11 years old. Darn child labor laws now don't let us do that. Not that I'm saying we should. It was a different time, completely different time. Yeah, I'm with you. It's amazing. Uh, it's amazing how it works now. I get it. It's a non-exploitation thing. Unless you're a farmer, in which case, if they're your child or relative, you can have them out in the fields as young as, wait, they can walk? Put them in the field. And in agrarian areas, it's not uncommon for you to see the youngest ones out in fields way early. And, if your childhood, think about that. If your childhood was helping your dad, I'm 79% to where I need to be on this. If your childhood was spent helping your dad from when you were, if you were a helper at between 6 and 8, well, when testosterone starts flooding your body, can you imagine? You'd have been, bodybuilder size by the time you were 15 or 16, which is probably where those, giants in medieval time came from, that the family didn't have an ox, so the kids had to pull the cart through the field. Again, imagining it now with you using all of the modern tools and conveniences, wheelbarrows. It's a fairly modern tool. Yes, they had forms of them back in medieval times, but not like we've got now. The anti-friction in axles and bearings, and it's completely different. When your grease was beef tallow and your wheels were wooden, yep, and there were absolutely no chance of a shock absorber at all, it would suck. That's what I'm talking about, with there not being any of, we consider them modern conveniences, but you were basically rubbing either wood on wood with some grease of some sort, like whale oil or beef tallow or uh, pig fat. Oh, see, now you're making it easier for them, giving them an iron, giving them iron. But even an iron hub, at some point you've got to have, even with an iron hub, you've got to have something for anti-friction. I don't know. It's one of those things that I've thought about and went, wow, and would not want to live during that. Or would, but not as a peasant, not as an unskilled laborer. But then that brings to mind, how did they figure that out? At some point, somebody somewhere said, hey, if I coat this with this fat, it runs smoother. Right? Yeah, I hear you. But along those lines, somebody had to notice it was slick. Somebody had to make the thought from one to the other. And is it an intuitive thought? Imagine doing all of the work you do now with nothing but hand tools, with a hammer and a chisel. And you're right, we're pretty resourceful as a species. No jackhammers to clear the rocks. Nothing but hammers and chisels. Man, that would be crazy, wouldn't it? Whoa, hey. Where the heck did that guy come from? I'm kind of glad that I wasn't there, though. That would have sucked. Yeah, no joke, right? Hi, how you doing? Welcome to my show. Thank you for not killing me. Just because you have light down in this world does not mean that stuff's not going to come get you. If there's a way for them to pathfind to you, they will find it. Maybe I should stop playing this on hard, right? I'm kidding. I'm not playing it on hard. I'm playing it on normal. Thought about playing it on easy. Not sure what that would do for me. Because you're still going to have infernal mobs, right? Your dad's been a mason for how long? You've been doing masonry work for how long? Yeah, 45 years. I bet he's seen quite a bit of changes in the industry in 45 years. Even in a decade, I'm pretty sure you've seen changes in the industry in 10 years working it. Are you talking stick frames or what are you talking? Wow. Foundation and brickwork. Brick not being what it used to be. Okay. In just 10 years, you've figured that out. Wonder how people like your dad feel about it. But you know, it all comes down to cost cutting, right? Most GCs are going to do everything they can to keep the cost down. And so who ultimately pays the price for it? The person going into that home, it's not going to be quite as good as it would have been even 10 years ago. Yeah. But the person going into the house wants to get into the house, so they're willing to accept that. If cost were no object, good, I got a modifier, I can update this. If cost were truly no object, then you could afford to do what you want to. Okay. I'm sure you know who Mike Holmes is, right? The only thing you can do about the poor construction is fix it as it comes up, as issues come up. But at least that's something that can be fixed. So rather than cutting the stone right, they cut it so it looks weird. So don't be giving me that crap like, of course you know him because he's Canadian. But his biggest beef is that contractors and the trades try to cut corners to save costs or use inferior materials, and they just don't do it right. And I agree with them. I have seen so many homes go up super fast that you can tell they weren't, there's no quality in it. Yeah. Given the opportunity, you wouldn't, right? You guys would make sure it was cut properly, even if it means that you're having to spend another hour doing the cut. And that's where I'm getting at. If money were no object, I'm sure any home your dad built or you built, foundation and brickwork, would be done right. It's too bad that everybody doesn't have that mindset. It's also too bad that home warranties, 8-foot window, you put 4 feet. If it's 3 foot, you get 4 foot, cut some off of each stone. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. And that makes sense. And that's how it should be, right? And you install it how it's supposed to be installed. You don't cut corners on adhesives or which, adhesives and stonework is cement, so but you don't cut corners on that stuff. It's not like you're going to dry fit a sliding door sill or a threshold. You're going to do what you need to do in order to make it work. So one of the things that I did way back when I was working in HVAC was I noticed that in order to our cutter, Vern, he was having to move 33 steps to get to his flat sheets, the 4 by whatever sheets he was working, his sheet panel. 33 steps, and then get it to the cutter. And then of that 33 steps, about 10 of them are wasted movement. So we moved his sheet supply those 10 steps closer, and he was able to almost double the amount that he was able to cut in a day, which just, 10 steps really closer to where he was because of the size of the sheets and maneuvering of the sheets. That's all we did was moved him 10 steps closer. But getting to that point, man, my uncle fought me hard on getting him to that point. That was when we were doing fabrication. Putting the insulation cutter in the same room as we put insulate as the insulation booth saved me, instead of walking around a wall. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Right. Can you make a repair on this, but not do any damage to this piece in front of it? Well, we can, but we're gonna have to go through the house and completely tear apart your living room. That's okay, right? No, could you not do that? Holy crap, man, I have a lot of cobble, don't I? Well, yeah, we can do it, but, not giving us access to it is gonna, yeah. I could use a hammer in my vanilla world. 3x3 cutting. One of the things I love most about modded, one of the things I like least about unmodded. This version, that puts luck at 1. But every time uh, what you call it, levels up, you get more. So I start at 1 and move up. Oh, yeah, we've griped about that before. Both of us have griped about that before. Nope, not that one. Lignite. There is room for stone dust. I have a digger's backpack full of stuff that I'm not going to be able to use. How much of this will go in here? All but the silver and the iron. That works. Okay, crushed silver, impure iron. 1, 2, 3. Really wish I could have 4. Oh, no, I don't need them. Good. No, not those. more. Good. That's going to work out for us. I agree with you on the mining tool. These can go here. This can go in here. So can that, so can that. Yeah, it's actually pretty quick with Beacon and Efficiency 5. From what I've seen, I mean, I've watched some guys like rip through stuff. Let's get to work on some of the things that we need. Do we have an excavator head? No. Do we have a broad axe head? No. So let's get work on those. Excavator, broad axe, excavator, broad axe. I'm going to need 2 of you. Those in there. They don't take that long to melt. Okay, so we need that, and we need to make a lumber axe. What should we make it out of? As a material, 67 durability, but a mining level of Ardite, so that's pretty good. It doesn't say what I should make it out of. By making a lumber axe, you are now able to cut down an entire tree in one hit. You can use iron, steel, or alumite poured from the smeltery. It doesn't need to be steel. Okay, so let's make an iron head here. And then make, oh, no, I didn't want to do that. I have to throw one of these back in. You smelt back down. There we go. What should I use for a tough binding? I know I want some copper. We have some aluminum in here. 4 nuggets. If I put 1 nugget of copper in there, what happens? I want to make my handles out of copper, so I need a tough rod cast. Yeah. Iron probably wouldn't hurt me, right? That's the end of 29D.